welcome to our podcast today. Bill Lenehan, who's a dear friend of ours of the foundation, and Bill talk a little bit about his career, the company he runs, and then we can segue into career opportunities for the CLE Fellows. Bill, thank you and welcome. Would love to have you talk about the business you're running and a little bit about how you get into it would be great.
Sure. I graduated from college a little over 25 years ago, went and did a 2-year banking stint as a leverage finance analyst, left to work at a hedge fund called Farallon Capital in '01. I was there for 10 years, making real estate investments in public securities, REITs, and other real estate heavy public securities, buying buildings, making loans on buildings, investing in real estate partnerships, that sort of thing. I left there to run a public company that was in Canada and turn that company around. I've done a lot of public board work, Macy's, Darden Restaurants, Gramercy Property Trust, and the Darden restaurant board work led to the creation of Four Corners 9.5 years ago. We spun out 418 buildings out of a big restaurant company into a publicly traded REIT. Four Corners now, almost 10 years in, we've acquired 800 buildings. So we have over 1,200 buildings, 40 people based in Mill Valley, California. I would describe it as a serial acquirer. So we buy buildings every couple days, but they're all relatively small. A typical building for us might be $2 to $4 million. It might be a quick service restaurant, a small medical building, outpatient surgery center, vet center, or it might be auto service. So a tire store, collision center, that sort of thing. And you can follow along at fcpt.com. We're about 40 people based in Mill Valley, California.
Talk a little bit about the landscape as far as largely let's focus on the restaurant business, the various companies a potential employee might work for, and then maybe a little bit about the career path, where they start initially, how they grow in a career, that type of thing.
I'll reverse the order if that's okay, Bill. So as far as career path, I guess what I would say is on one hand, be open-minded, and on the other hand, prepare like crazy. What do I mean by that? I joined a fantastic hedge fund, and a month later, September 11th happened. And that completely changed what I spent the next decade working on. Obviously, it wasn't anything anyone could have expected. The investment environment around lodging and casinos had completely changed overnight. I had some skill set during the financial crisis. My career completely changed when I became the CEO of a company at a young age and having to turn that around. And none of those things did I ever plan, nor could I have anticipated, but I was preparing constantly to refine my skills, fix things that I wasn't good at, meet people, network, et cetera. So I would say, be open-minded, be opportunistic, but prepare like crazy, learn the technology, read as much as you can, and learn from others, network, have mentorship, et cetera. As far as Four Corners and what we specifically focus on, we cover 3 sectors: medical, retail, auto service, and restaurant. I would also keep in mind that of the 40 people at Four Corners, there are people who are working at a REIT doing accounting. We have a large legal group, an acquisition group, and the people that help us run the company. It's a $4 billion company with over 1,200 buildings. So we need infrastructure there.
So Bill, a couple of questions. You all are owners of restaurant assets. Who are the other kinds of owners? I assume there are a lot of private owners. I assume some of the restaurant companies own their own assets. Talk to the students a little bit about those different sets of owners. That'd be interesting.
Sure. You may not realize it, but when you go to an Olive Garden, it could be owned by the company that owns Olive Garden called Darden. It could be owned by us. It could be owned by the adjacent mall company. It could be owned by an individual. The building might be owned by someone different than the ground. And companies like ourselves, as a real estate investment trust, have ownership advantages in our structure where we don't have to pay taxes on rents if we maintain certain qualifications. So a lot of real estate has migrated from the owner to real estate investment trusts or other entities that have those advantages. We allow investors who want a stable and safe investment in owning a very diverse 1,200 plus properties portfolio of buildings, conservatively financed, tax advantaged with public company disclosure and governance. That is the reason why companies like Four Corners exists. And because, if you think about it, if the real estate's owned by a single brand, they probably can't go out practically and buy real estate owned by other brands.
Right.
Where we started as if the ownership of these 418 Darden assets was now liberated. They can go out and buy Chili's, medical retail, auto service, which wouldn't have worked inside a pure restaurant company.
Is a logical career path to start working in the real estate group at one of the restaurant companies? Is that a good way for our students to think about? They had an interest in the restaurant industry, a good way to start their career or not?
Yeah, there are lots of different ways to gain knowledge and skills within our industry. It can be working at a real estate investment trust. And again, within Four Corners, there's many different skill sets required to make the company tick. It could be working at a bank that finances construction of restaurants or lends money to companies like ourselves or to restaurants. It could be working in the restaurant group. It could also be brokerage. There's lots of restaurant properties that transact every day. It could be in consulting or investment banking. There's a lot of different ways, if this is interesting to you, to find vibrant roles that involve restaurant or even hospitality more broadly and real estate.
So you take an organization like McDonald's, for instance. Is that a good place if somebody's interested in the restaurant business longer term? Is that a good place to learn the business that way, and then maybe they can go out and do other things? What's your thought there?
It's interesting. McDonald's is a very prevalent brand. They happen to be, in many ways, as much of a real estate company economically as they are a restaurant company. You can speak to Darden having been on the board, or Chili's or BJ's, other brands that we know really well. They'd be a great place to get experience. And I would also say there's a number of very large restaurant franchisees that are private companies that are growing and would be terrific places to work.
And then, Bill, one final question. I mean, our students come at this from a variety of experiences. Some are finance majors, some are more interested in operations, some are more interested in marketing. Is there a certain kind of background that is going to be more fulfilling for students than others in this industry, or not?
One thing I would say, and maybe directly addressed to students, is don't self-reject. You can do it. There's nothing about what I do that requires some special intellect or secret sauce. It was not through family connections. Don't self-reject. If you put your mind to wanting to be the CEO of a REIT, run acquisitions for a REIT, or be the chief accounting officer of a REIT, or be the general counsel of a REIT, all those things, if you put your mind to it and you prepare and make the right choices, are on the table.
Well, Bill, thank you. This has been great. It's an industry that a lot of our students aren't necessarily familiar with. So for you to take the time and give them the exposure is great.
Love to pay it back. I've had a lot of fortune of having great mentors and people who've helped me along the way. Bill, you being one of them. Any way I can help, I'd be more than happy to.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of the day, Bill. Bye-bye.